Hello everyone, I'm excited to welcome you in our new major section dedicated to loops, also known as iterations. We're going to look into different types of loops and loop operators Java provides us. Before we dive into the operators, before we dive into loop statements, let's actually try to understand what the concept of loop stands for. What does iteration mean? And in our content material, we have a simple explanation and simple usages of loops, and we say that loop is the concept of running the same code multiple times. So doing the same thing multiple times. It is like putting a piece of code in a loop in an iteration and running the same piece of code over and over again. For those of you who have taken our optional recursive methods related section, actually the one right before, you already have seen countdown and factorial methods, also other examples and exercises that kind of behaved as if a loop. However, they were not exactly the same as loops. They were methods calling themselves. In this section, though, Java will allow us to iterate small blocks of codes. And these blocks can be small, medium, or large, depending on what the needs are. So, and the first statement that we will see is going to be called while statement. It is a while loop or while iteration. So to see loops in action, let's actually go to our eclipses, create a new section. And this is going to be new package. We're going to call it section 4_1. Under this package, we're going to create a new class, and we're going to call it while intro. Finish. Declare our main methods. Open up some space, and we're going to create a sample loop example. And we're going to see a new philosophy of development closer to the end of this subsection. So let's actually do this. Unlike our previous experiences where we created the separate methods, let's actually start creating something inside main to actually save us some time. Now, we said that our countdown method, if you remember from previous time, accepted a number, counted it down, and then when the number reached to 0, it actually printed out Happy New Year and terminated the execution. So let's create a small loop. So we're going to say create a loop that counts down from a given number, and when it reaches 0, it prints out Happy New Year. Okay, so let's say we have a number, int number, or let's call it counter, int counter. Let's say we're gonna give it a value of 3. So now we need to count it until it reaches 0, and when it reaches 0, we're going to print out Happy New Year. How do we do it? We say while. So while in English is a synonym to as long as the counter, the number, is greater than 0, print out counter, the value of the counter. So this statement will run as long as the number is greater than 0, right? So one important thing is, unless we change the counter's value somehow, this statement will run forever, and we'll look into infinite loops down the road. So what we do always with while loops, we have a statement inside the loop that will do something to the value of countdown, of the counter, of the number, of the value that we have provided the first time, right? So to change the number, to change the value of the counter variable here, we actually created this kind of a statement saying that while number's value is greater than 0, print out the value of the number, and then before you go to another loop, decrease the value of number by 1. And we've seen shorthand operators. We can say the statement above we can shorten it to this. So what this shorthand operator is the same as the one above. And we have also seen unary operators. Instead of saying negative equal to 1, if we're changing the value of a variable by 1 unit, we're going to use unary operators. Negative, negative, positive, positive. So minus, minus, plus, plus means decrease the value of this variable by 1 and assign it back to itself. So we're just going to comment this out because that's verbose. We're going to comment this out as well because that's unnecessary, right? Because we have a unary operator like that. Now we are going to do this. After the loop is finished, we are going to print Happy New Year. When we run our main method, when we run this program, see what we have. It says 3, 2, 1, Happy New Year. Okay. Now this is what basically loops do. And in the next section, in the next video, we will look at infinite loops. However, for the time being, remember this structure. You have a variable that you're going to check a condition against. You check the condition similar to if statement. However, unlike if statement, you do not have else statement here, because if the counter is greater than 0, this section, this block will run. This is what while stands for. As long as counter is greater than 0, run this block. And inside this block, we're going to print out the value of the counter, and we're going to decrease it by 1 so that sometime down the road, the counter gets to become 0, right? So since we decrease it by 1, first iteration, it printed out 3 because value was 3 of the counter, right? First iteration printed out 3. Then it says, okay, now counter is equal to 2. Is 2 greater than 0? No. Execute this block. Print 2, decrease 2 by 1. Now counter is 1. Is 1 greater than 0? No. Print 1, decrease it by 1, which is 0 now, and then go back and check again. Is counter greater than 0? Is 0 greater than 0? No. Get out of this block, get out of this while statement, execute whatever is coming afterwards, which means we're going to print out Happy New Year. Okay, so thank you very much for your time. I will see you again in our next video, diving more in details to the while statements and to the concept of loops.